Good evening and welcome to the Hendo-One Gallery of Fine Art, an online gallery originating from Flat Rock, North Carolina. My name is David Day and I will be your docent for this evening. Our featured artist is Charles Zovko, who resides in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. His current exhibition is a curated collection of a recent project titled Abstractions of Form. Please note, if you have a question of the artist, unmute your microphone, ask your question, then remute your microphone. This will keep us from hearing background conversations and make this a more pleasant experience for everybody as we tour through the gallery. Before we begin this evening's tour, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Hendo-One Gallery. Hendo-One is a gallery that exists to showcase emerging and established artists and to support dissemination of their work worldwide. Unlike brick-and-mortar galleries, Hendo-One charges 0% commission, with 100% of sales going directly to the artist. This allows the artist to bring their work directly to you without going through a commission broker. As you take part in today's tour, please ask questions of the artists and deal directly with them on purchases using the contact information provided here. Our featured artist for this evening's exhibit is Charles Zovko. Charles is a multi-award-winning Pulitzer Prize nominated photojournalist with publications in well-known magazines including Time, Newsweek, Stern, Paris Match, and Sports Illustrated. Now that he is retired and no longer bound to journalism photography, Charles has been pursuing the creation of images that imply visual dreams infused with suggestions of time travel. This exhibition, titled Abstractions of Form, captures his pursuit of alternative realities. Using a semi-proprietary workflow, his archival prints truly transcend the reality of a single moment and can be only fully appreciated by bearing witness to them. The second part of this exhibit features Charles' fascination with the ever-changing moods of the sky and clouds as they morph into endless forms. These images are reminiscent of the 1920s famed modernist photographer Alfred Stiggs in his acclaimed series Equivalents that recorded the sky in a journalistic yet abstract manner. Zovko's new direction presented in this exhibit is his attempt to transcend the everyday into the beauty and sensuality that surrounds us, if only we take the time to see it. Again, Charles' contact information is https://chuckzovko.com. Please visit his website for many fascinating images. As a technical note from the artist, all images in this collection were taken as Pro RAW photos on an iPhone 14 Pro Max, which makes the images all more special knowing that they are taken on a cell phone. Charles' artist statement for Abstraction of Form tells a lot about his lifetime journey as a photographer. I spent all of my years as a photojournalist shooting reality, but since retirement I enjoy seeing what isn't reality and what could be. I hope you enjoy my interpretive form of photography. Charles Zovko. As we move into the waiting area of the Hendo-One Gallery, we are immediately presented with this beautiful image of what appears to be a field of grain. Let's take a closer look at this before moving into the gallery proper. This work, titled Simplicity of Healing, reminds one of the vast open fields of grain of the Midwest, but it's not really that at all. This photograph was taken at the entrance to a hospital ready care building outside of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Every year the entrance grows up and is missed by people who are focused on other things. Nobody ever seems to stop and take notice of it. Much of Charles' photography is about taking time to appreciate the details, and Simplicity of Healing is certainly one of those images. As we move into the first room of the gallery, For abstractions of form, we are immediately presented with three beautiful and contrasting images. Let's look at each one of them in detail. This image is titled Delible Beauty. It is one of the images that started Charles' fascination with intentional camera movement photography and is taken in his wife's hometown in Pennsylvania. Her parents are buried on the outskirts of town and they visit this town often. It is an old country road driving up to his parents' gravesite. It is a 2-second time exposure out of a moving car. This image is titled Rhododendrons. It is a beautiful 5-frame multi-exposure image that was taken in a garden and courtyard outside of Chuck's house. And the extended range of greens in the photograph really remind one of the promise of spring and summer. The third image in the gallery is titled Labor's Transition, and it is an absolutely beautiful photograph with a lot of meaning. It is on the way back from the cemetery where Charles and his wife were visiting her parents' grave sites. It's a crop being harvested, which shows transitions. Workers in work, ground to sky, and color transition. It is toned as a raw foul, then upscaled in topaz to give the very, very beautiful transition from the warm reds to the stark blue sky above. On the other side of the gallery, we see three beautiful photographs taken by Chuck in ICM mode. Let's take a closer look again at each one of these. Like rhododendrons, azalea birth is a multi-exposure shot that has been upscaled several times. It is a beautiful image of a variety of pinks and browns. Daly Avenue is a very special place for people who have lived in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania for any period of time. In the beginning, Bethlehem Steel was the predominant employer in this small Pennsylvania town, and people from Bethlehem Steel would drive on Daly Avenue to and from work every day. There were originally railroad tracks here, and now this has transitioned into a walking path, and every spring trees bloom in the late afternoon light. Imagine the juxtaposition of the original dreary scene with the railroad tracks going into the gritty steel mills transition to the beautiful pathways of today. This photograph is absolutely spectacular for anybody who is familiar with Bethlehem Steel and the Bethlehem area. Magnolia Transformation is the largest print in today's exhibition. It is a 30-inch by 40-inch print that was taken from a tree near Allentown, Pennsylvania in ICM format. Chuck tells me he's driven past this tree 1,000 times, but one day he was late for an appointment on a very windy day and took this beautiful multiple exposure. Here we are at the halfway point of the exhibit in one of my personal favorite photographs, and that's why it is hanging in my office. Let's take a closer look at it and talk a little bit about it. This beautiful image is titled Completion. I love it because of the way it transitions from the warm golds and yellows up into the blue and moody dark sky. It is actually a field of soybeans, and Chuck took this on a very heavy tripod in a timed exposure to generate the fluffy clouds. Early on in the exhibit, we mentioned Alfred Stiggs, who inspired Charles Zovko's love for photography of clouds. Before continuing, I want to give you some background on Alfred Stiggs and his impact on photography. He was a well-known photographer in the early 1900s and is widely regarded for being the champion of photography as an art form. Throughout his career as a gallery owner, he sponsored many photographers' successful careers. But when it comes to clouds, Stiglitz has nothing on Charles. Remember that Stiglitz produced his images with full-frame silver emulsions, while Zovko's work is all done with an iPhone, which is quite an achievement. So as not to diminish Zovko's work, I'm going to be quiet for the rest of this exhibit while we take in the form of Charles' cloud photos.